ॐ दुर्जनः सज्जनो भूयात् सज्जनः शान्तिमाप्नुयात् शान्तो मुच्येत बन्देभ्यो मुक्ताश्चान्यान् विमोचयेत्. O Lord, please help every being. Let all the wicked people be transformed into righteous people, gentle people. Let all the gentle people, righteous people, may attain happiness and bliss, and let them strive to attain the divine or supreme truth. And the people who have realized this supreme truth may help others to realize the supreme truth or divine. Om, peace, peace, peace. My dear devotees, very interesting topic we are discussing, that is Narada's Bhakti Sutras. A celestial sage Narada, who is a greatest devotee himself, who dedicated his life completely, his body, his mind, his time, his energy for the God, for the divine. Such a person who has experienced, who has done all of this sadhana, he himself has written aphorisms, sutra on work and devotional work. So now, celestial sage Narada, he started telling, when that parabhakti, the supreme love for God, when it is manifested in someone, or when it has been attained or achieved by a particular aspirant, spiritual aspirant, how to understand it? The similar question is asked by Arjuna to Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, the celestial song. There, Sthita Pragnasya Kabhasha, Samadhistasya Keshava, Sthitadi Kim Prabhasheta, Kimaseta Vrajeta Kim. O Krishna, please tell me, the man of study wisdom, the man who has attained the perfect wisdom, how he talks, how he behaves himself, how he sleeps. So this question was asked by Arjuna to Sri Krishna, to the Lord Sri Krishna. So many times we do get this type of questions. If a person is a great devotee, is a great wise person, if he thinks that, what is the mark? What is the sign of that great personalities? How to understand? How to understand that is a wise person? How to understand that is the saint? How to understand that he is a realized person? The scriptures give some marks, give some signals. Okay, if these traits are there, if this nature is there in the people, in the particular aspirant, you can think, you can understand, or you can decide that he is a person of study wisdom. He is a person who has attained that supreme devotion, supreme love for God. Now, since it is a work on devotion, love of God, he's telling the person who has attained the supreme love of God in his life, what will be his nature? That person nature will be like this. Gunarahitam means he will be beyond qualities, beyond attributes. Then Kamanarahitam, he will be free from all types of desires. Pratikshana Vardhamanam. In him, the love of God or the love for God will be keep on increasing, ever increasing. Then Avichinnam, and it is also uninterrupted way it will be there. Then Sukshmataram, and it is very subtle, and Anubhava Rupam, and it is with full of experience, and it is a matter of fact. These are every word is very important. We have to think and we have to cogitate. First, he's telling Gunarahi. guna rahitam, that person will be beyond gunas. What is this guna? Probably, if you have heard my Tattvabodha lecture or Aprokshanubhuti lectures, you'll be, by this time you should be knowing what do you mean by guna. What do I mean by guna? Guna means qualities. According to Indian philosophy, the whole nature has been made up of these three qualities, three gunas. What is that? One is known sattva, the other is rajas, the other is tamas. And similarly, there are hundreds, thousands of people in all over the world. He may belong to any religion, any country, any caste, any nationality, ethnicity, never mind. But the whole humankind can be categorized into three groups in a broader classification. One is the people who are lazy. They don't want to do any work. They want to be easily, they want all the accomplishments and all the comforts easily without hard work. Dull headed, and they're known for their procrastination. Oh, they keep on postponing their work. Let me do tomorrow. Let me do tomorrow. Let me do tomorrow. They want easy way of going life. If this natured people are there, if it is there commonly in every one of us, but in some people, this nature will be very dominant, very. People can understand by seeing them. Such people are known called tamasic people. Why? Because the tamo guna, the quality called tamas, is there, which is laziness, inert, etc., etc. And if you see some people, they are very active, hyperactive always. Morning to evening, they keep on working. They don't rest. They don't like to rest also until otherwise they are very tired. Then they keep on moving. They want to progress in their life. They want to improve themselves. They want to achieve this, that, and they are always busy in their life. Such people are called rajogunis, means hyperactive. It is not restlessness, it is hyperactive or active or hyperactive. The people who are always active, it is not because of helplessness. It is not because of someone's compulsion. It is by their nature, by one's own nature. Such people are called rajogunis because in them the quality called rajas or rajoguna is there in them. And third type of natured personalities or people are there. One who are very pure in their nature, very calm, quiet, composed. They want to be alone always. They don't want much hustle and bustle. They don't like. And they are always steady in their life, studious in their practices. And they try to lead a simple life and high thinking always. They believe in knowledge per se, and they always want to know more and more. Simple life they lead. Such type of qualities, when any person, if it is there, know it for certain, he is a sattva guni. Means because in him, the sattva guna, the quality called sattva, it is there. Whereas this devotee, he will not have tamas, the dullness, and he wants to sleep, he wants to have a comfortable life without hard work. Such tamo guna is not there in this devotee. And activity. I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to achieve this, I want power, I want position, name, fame, like Napoleon. Even that type of desires they don't have. That type of active also they don't have. They're active, but activity is not with the backed with the desires. And the sattva guna, pure, etc., etc. All these things they have gone beyond. They have gone. The sattva guna will be predominant in them, but they have gone beyond this sattva guna also. That's what when we mean guna rahita means they have gone beyond all these three gunas. Means the gunas are not controlling them. They are the master. They have got the mastery over these gunas. Whenever they wish, they can sleep. Whenever they wish, they can work. Whenever they wish, they can meditate. And moreover, always they will have a concentrated life, simple life, and very few thoughts will be crossing over their minds. What a beautiful life. And you see, this is what personality is. You may see 100,000 type of people, but all people can be categorized into these three types of personality. Either he is Sattvaguni or Rajoguni or Tamoguni. So, according to that, you can interact with them. According to that, you can understand their nature, their character, their conduct, their actions, their reactions, and you can work with them and you can maintain the relationship with them. And there are few people who have gone beyond these trigunas, who is a devotee, a great devotee. Means he has gone beyond these trigunas. What does it philosophical implication? Philosophical implication is a free person. He has attained that supreme truth. He has attained the divinity. For you and for me, for all of us, the divinity, God, self, Atman, all these things, it is a intellectual speculation. It is a theory for us. But for such a person, it is a matter of fact and it is a matter of experience. For them, the God or the self or the Atman, the consciousness, whatever we say, they have understood and they have experienced. Such person will be beyond these three gunas. They are not the slaves, rather they have a self-mastery. They will have a mastery over their body and mind. Then kamana rahitam. They are free from all type of desires. Someone has a desire to become doctor, to engineer, business entrepreneur, or politician, or someone has a desire they would look like they want to look beautiful, and some like always name and fame. Oh, people should be praising me always. For that, they are ready to do anything and everything. And someone power. I want to be always have a power in my hand. I want to rule the people. I want to rule the world. I want to rule the company. Hunger for power, hunger for position. And someone will have, oh, I want to enjoy my life. Keep on roaming in the world. Have a world tour. I want all type of comforts. And nowadays we see some people that they want all type of gadgets. Whatever the type of gadgets are there in the world, all type of gadgets they want. Whether there it is required or not, they want it. So like this, everyone has got, someone has got clothes, someone has got pen, someone has got vehicles. So desire can be in different ways. Someone may be having one or two or five or 10 or 50 or 100. And this, a devotee who has got this parabhakti, supreme love of God or love for God, he is completely free from all types of worldly desires. There is no desire for sense gratification. There is no desire for sense craving. There is no desire for any worldly matter or material pursuit. He is completely happy in himself. He is completely ever contented in himself. The moment when you hear, you may feel, Swamiji, probably it is not life to be led. Why? Because if he doesn't have any desire, then why he will he leave? Why should he leave? What is the purpose in leaving then? Will not become monotonous? Will not become boredom? That life will not become bland life? Such question can come in us. I say, no, it is not so. Such people can really live the happiest life, blissful life, because of these things, desires. Of course, we enjoy, no doubt, but at the same time, we do suffer also. We enjoy and we suffer also. But whereas these people, they go beyond this enjoyment and suffering and they live the peaceful life and the blissful life. Then, pratikshana vardhamanam. When we go to some good religious place, our devotion gets awakened and we feel very devoted and we start sitting and doing jam meditation. Or someone goes to vipassana meditation camp and hours together they sit and meditate. Someone come here hearing lectures, they get inspired, and after going back in the house they start meditating, they start doing prayers, counting the beads, reading something. All these spiritual practices they start, but after a few days again it comes down. After some days, again they start, it comes down. Again it start, it comes down. That's what happens in most of our life in the normal spiritual aspirants. It keeps on increasing and decreasing, increasing and decreasing. It keeps on coming and going, just like a wave, ebb and tide. But whereas this devotee who has got a supreme devotion, for him, this devotion is always increasing, it never diminishes. We can see even in the life of Sri Ramakrishna. He started his life as being a priest. Generally, if you see the priest, they go to temple or the church or a mosque, they do whatever the rituals and customs are supposed to be done. They do it and they come out. Now, Sri Ramakrishna was doing all these rituals, customs sincerely. Apart from that, the rest of the time, he started thinking, if God lives really, then I should see him or her. He started praying, he started meditating, he started crying for God. Until having a God realization, he never stopped, not a single day. He prayed, he prayed, he prayed, and after 4 years, he had a God realization. There he didn't stop. For most of us, that would have been the life achievement after many lives. Afterwards, he started thinking, let me practice in different traditions. In Sanatana Dharma or Hinduism, there are so many sects or there are so many types of sadhanas. Let me try to perform every type of sadhana and try to reach God in the particular mode of sadhana, particular way of spiritual practice. He did that. And not only Hinduism, he also practiced Islam. And through Islam way, he realized God. He also heard Bible and whatever the spiritual practices told in Bible, he practiced. And however the Christians practice and they realize God, even in that way also, he realized God. He knew the supreme truth. Of course, it is very rare indeed like this. But in a saintly people, in the real devotee, the devotion towards Lord or God, it keeps on increasing. So, pratikshana vardhamanam. Every moment it keeps on increasing. That's what the author is saying. That is one of the mark or sign. By this, you can understand that is the devotee who has attained the supreme devotion or supreme love for the Lord. Then avichinnam. There is no interruption. There is no break. I got so much inspiration for 1 week. Navratri, this is a Navratri now, 9 days of worship of Mother Durga. Many people, they get up early morning. They do spiritual practices. They do chanting some mantras. They do some worship. And many people, they do fasting also. All these 9 days they do. On 10th day, with Dashmi day, they will have their own type of worships they do. On 11th day, then back to pavilion. Nothing is there. Why? Navratri over, their spiritual practices got over. Someone got inspiration and they start working for 1 or 2, 3 months. They do spiritual practice. Again, slowly, their spirit come down and their spiritual practices also comes down. Their devotional practices also comes down. After a few months, they remember, hey, I've reduced my spiritual practices. Again, they increase. After some time, it goes. So like this, it gets interrupted. But whereas in the people who has attained that supreme love for the Lord, in them it is never breaking, it is never interrupted, it is uninterrupted. The love towards the God, the earning towards the God is never interrupted. It keeps on increasing. That's what the celestial sage Narada is telling. Avichinnam. And Sukshmataram. It is very subtle actually. It is not grass, it is very subtler than the subtlest. Why? Because this devotion is linked with the what? It is linked with the Lord Himself. Lord is not an object. Lord is with full of consciousness. He is the creator, is the sustainer, is the dissolver, and is the essence of the whole world. He is subtler than the subtlest and grosser than the grossest. Means he is beyond all these things. So when the devotion is linked with that, definitely it has to be subtle. And this subtlety also involves a philosophical meaning in that. That means what? We cannot express what the devotion is actually. Why? Because it is an subjective experience. Now, if so, then what is all this, Swamiji? Now, say for an example, I never tasted pizza in my life. I came here, I came to Ireland 1 year before. Now people said, Swamiji, there is a pizza, beautiful pizza. Why don't you try? Then I asked, pizza, okay, how it will be? No, it will be round, Swamiji, it will have a fruits or it will have a cheese, butter, blah, blah, blah. All these things they give explain. Okay, how do you feel when you eat? Oh, it is so nice, Swamiji. It is so enjoying, Swamiji. Something like that people said. How much ever they say, I may get an idea, but really I will not be able to understand what do they mean. They are trying to explain their experience, but I don't understand in reality. But when I eat pizza, then I will understand what they mean. Similarly, if you take with the sweet, for example, maybe a rasgulla, which is one of the Bengali sweet Indian cheese balls, we can say in English. Cheese balls are dipped in the sugar syrup. It is very spongy like, and it will be very tasty and delicious. What did you take, Swamiji? If someone asks, I say, oh, I ate rasgulla. Rasgulla, what is that? What is the cheese balls made from cheese, and it is dipped in the sugar syrup. It is very spongy and it is look round, spherical in shape, and it is a sweet. It looks very delicious. It is very sweet and it is very delicious. Now, someone who doesn't know sweet at all. So how it will be someday? Oh, it is very sweet and it is very delicious. How much ever I try to explain him, if he has not at all tasted the sweet, he cannot understand what do I mean by sweet and what do I mean delicious. If he eats some or other, some sweet at least, then only he'll be able to understand what do I mean by sweet. Otherwise, he will not. Just a simple mundane experience, a simple our day-to-day experience, we cannot make others to understand if they are not exposed. Then what to speak of the spiritual experience? But when we converse, oh, it was a so sweet, and the sweet was so nice, and it is so sweety. We say, because the people already have that some experience of sweet in their life, they'll be able to correlate, but it is not the same way what we mean they understand it actually, if you think seriously. But we take it for granted in our day-to-day transactions, and we keep using the words very loosely, and people feel that they have understood, and we also feel that, I mean, the others, opposite people, the people with whom we are talking, they have understood our talks. But it is not so. Only some things we have got common among human beings, so we feel that they have understood, and we think that it is, we take it for granted basically. But in this devotion, everyone doesn't have that supreme love for God. So it has become very subtle and subjective experience. How much ever he tries to explain, that is beautiful, that is wonderful, that is elegant, etc., etc., but we can't understand. Even that's the reason it is very subtle. And Anubhava Rupam, it is not an object. The devotion is not an object. Look, there's a mobile like this. There's a cloth. I can show things objectively. But whereas the devotion, I cannot show objectively. Why? Because it's a matter of experience. It is a subjective experience. I am a devotee. X is a devotee, Y is a devotee, John is a devotee, Mary is a devotee, fine. But all of them have got a complete devotion, we say, but everyone's experience of devotion, it differs from person to person. Their experience it differs and it varies. So it is Anubhava Rupam, it is a matter of innermost experience. Actually, it cannot be told properly. Why? For an example, sleep. I slept and morning I got up. Oh, beautiful. I had a deep sleep. The moment yesterday night I was tired and had some worries, etc. And with God's grace, luckily, I had a deep sleep yesterday night. Morning when I got up, my mind was fresh and I was healthy, hale and hearty. Because everyone has got that sleep experience. When we say this, people can understand and relate. Now, a person who has never slept, for him, if you start explaining the sleep experience, definitely will not be able to correlate. Now, my sleep experience, what? After coming out from the experience, after coming out from the sleep, based on the memory, only I will be able to explain what is sleep or how the sleep I had. But when I was sleeping, I was unable to explain or I cannot explain. So, similarly, when the devotees are feeling the divine presence and when they are merged themselves with the divine, they cannot explain what it is. Only when their mind comes down, when they come down only, based on their experience and memory, they will try to explain actually. And the God relation, it is beyond word, it is beyond thoughts, it is beyond speech. Even from that point also, we can say that it is indescribable in reality. But from the people, if you say, is free from desire, is beyond all gunas, all qualities, and in him the devotion is ever manifesting and ever increasing, and it is uninterrupted. All these things, by this we can decide individually that whether I have got supreme devotion or not, or whether XYZ has got supreme devotion or not. We can infer, or we may infer. And in him, and the beautiful psychological point is, in him, intellect, emotion, will, volition, emotion, and cognition, all these three things are harmoniously arranged. His emotions are purified. His emotions are matured, and these emotions are turned directed towards God. And his will, because of his willpower also, he has turned his love, his senses, his mind towards God. Sometimes I would like to connect with God, but because of lack of willpower, I will not be able to. I desire it. I know it what is right and why I should connect with God. I know intellectually, I know emotionally, yes, I want to connect to the God, but because of pura samskara, prevalent impressions, lack of willpower, I will be unable to connect. So, among intellect and emotions and will, there is no harmony in a common people in us. But in this great people, in the people of who has got supreme devotion, that is love of God, there is a harmonious arrangement, harmonious link between intellect, emotion, and will. Sometimes I know what is right and what is wrong because lack of willpower, lack of emotions, I will not be able to connect to the right thing. Sometimes I want to do right thing, but I don't know what is right. I want to do right thing, emotions and willpower is there because I don't know what is right properly and lack of intellect. I know what is right. I wish to do it, but because of lack of willpower, again I will not be able to do it. These problems we see in common people, this intellect and emotion and will, there is no harmonious arrangement, harmonious link, harmonious blend. Whereas in these great people, the men of success or women of success, in them, there will be harmony between intellect, emotion, and will. It is very important. So when we say avichinna, uninterruption means what? The uninterruption is also can be taken as there is no interruption between intellect, emotion, and also will. So these are the few traits of the devotee. And it is also, they say that it is a hetuki because it is independent cause and its content being a perennial fountain of eternal bliss. When such person who has got free from desire, one who is beyond all qualities and is free and is master, when we say whether he will have a bland life, whether he will have a life of like a rock or animal where he doesn't have any emotions, doesn't have any feelings, doesn't have any desires, then what type of this life it is, that type of life is with full of bliss. That's what they say in the 54th aphorism. Then one more trait is been given by the celestial sage Narada. When the person who attains the Lord, who realizes the Lord, who experiences the Lord or divinity or the self, what happens? Tat prapya. Having attained that supreme devotion, the love of God, tadev, tadeva, tad eva बालकयति तदेव शृणोति तदेव भाष्यति तदेव चिन्तयति. Means after attaining that supreme devotion, he sees Lord everywhere. He sees the Lord in saint, he sees the Lord in in a sinner also. He sees the saint he sees the Lord or God or divinity in the animals, in the plants, or in the human beings. In every creature, in everything, that person tries to see, or he will be is capable of seeing the Lord or divinity in everywhere. What a beautiful experience, you imagine. And Tadeva Shrunoti. He always likes to listen good things always. He always likes to listen the all auspiciousness or about the divine, about the God. All the great people, great saints' life, if you see, this can be seen very clearly. Tadeva Bhashayati. He speaks always good things, righteous things, rightful things, and about God or about religion, about dharma, about spirituality, which is productive, which is constructive. And tadeva chintayet. He thinks that only. Sometimes people do come to ashramas, to spiritual places, worship places. They come for half an hour, first half an hour or 45 minutes or 10, 20 minutes or whatever. They do think of God, they pray, participate in the mass or participate in the prayers or whatever. Afterwards, they keep talking all rubbish about their family, about their worldly pursuits, about their business, and about the neighbors sometimes, or about the world politics, about the geopolitics. They keep on talking. That's what we see in common people. Many times it happens. But whereas this with a devotee who has got the supreme devotion, that is not seen. Means he always likes to connect himself with the divine. For him, there is no sinner at all. For him, there is nothing away from the Lord. Whatever he sees, he tries to connect the Lord. He tries to connect everything with the Lord. Say, for an example, there's a beautiful rose. When a young chap he sees a rose, beautiful rose, he immediately he remembers that, oh, what a beautiful rose. Why can't I pluck it and go and give my lover? Fine. Then florist if he says, oh, let me cut and let me use this rose cutting and let me use for the bouquet. I can get a good amount. And a person who loves nature, he says, let the rose be there only. It is so nice, we can enjoy. Just seeing the rose, it is so nice. And a devotee, oh, wonderful rose is there. Let me pluck and let me offer at the feet of the Lord, at the altar of the Lord. See, there's only one rose, but everyone's reaction towards rose is different. Why? Because of their thinking, because of their emotions, because of their desires, because of their thoughts, because of their feelings. So, whereas the devotee, whatever he sees, any beautiful things, he tries to connect to the everything Lord. For example, sunrise. A poet sees a sunrise, he gets, inspiration, he writes a wonderful poem. And a nature lover, he thinks of it and he enjoys it. Then a geologist says, okay, sun is rising, why it is happening, what is happening, etc. He keeps on thinking about it. A spiritual person sees by seeing that he remembers that cosmic form of the Lord, or the cosmic form of the divinity of the self, and he tries to merges his mind with the divine, and he starts contemplating or meditating on that Lord and the universal form of the Lord. Again, there is only one thing, sunrise, but people's reaction for sunrise is entirely different. Why? Because of their nature, because of their personality, because of their character. And what is the character of the devotee who has attained that supreme devotion? The celestial sage Narada, he says that he always tries to think of the Lord. He speaks about the glory of the Lord. He tries to listen. He always likes to listen to the glories of the Lord. He takes the name of the Lord. He thinks about the Lord. He speaks about the Lord. So just like breathing has become the part and parcel of the life, the divinity, experiencing the divine, experiencing the God becomes the part and parcel of his life. That's what the gist of this particular aphorism. Though many times we cannot see objectively these things, but it is a matter of experience. And when the persons are experiencing, when we go near, when we go near them, or when we stay with them, or when we live with them, definitely even we can observe and we can also get inspiration and motivation. His mind is fully soaked with the divinity. That's what we mean. And in the 36th and 37th aphorism, the celestial sage Narada he says, by continuous practice of worship, spiritual practices, listening to the divine sports of God, and singing his glories, taking his name again and again daily, what happens? Body and mind becomes purified and it becomes fit for God realization. One who has made his body and mind the instrument fit to receive the divine or to feel the experience, I mean, to feel the existence of the Lord or God or divine, such people will always think about the Lord and Lord alone. Thus, how their emotions, their will, and their intellect, everything has been moved, or everything has been channelized, or everything has been focused towards God or towards divine. That's a beautiful story in the great people. In the once Gurukula in India, in the olden days, how the education system was there, you know. At the age of 8 or 9, he had to leave his home and he had to go to the forest. In the forest, there used to be hermits, and one of the teacher he has to take, accept, and he has to stay there for 14 years, lead a simple life, disciplined life. Once he finishes his education, he was supposed to, he could come back to house or he could come back to town. Now, why so much discipline was there? Because when the formative period was there, if you're be away from this city, away from this all this world, then your mind will be concentrated. You'll be able to study properly. You'll be able to have a mastery over the education, mastery over the knowledge. That is their intention. Then a student at the age of 8 or 9, he had a Yagnopavita, that is, he had a one ceremony of learning. He took a vow of learning and he went to Gurukula in ancient school, which was located in the forest. Then he was a very sincere student, very studious student. The teacher started explaining him. I mean, with all either his friends or his group, he started learning very fast. Then after 12 or 14 years, and this student was very pet and he was very favorite student of the teacher. After 12 or 14 years of the education completion, they finished their graduation, they got their graduation certificate, and they left. When the Guru said, your education is completed, most of the students left. But for this particular student, the teacher never said that your education got completed. As a result, he stayed back. Then the question, out of respect and out of love for wisdom, the student also never asked, my dear sir, you sent all my friends finish. You said that your education is completed, but for me, you never said. He never asked also. Out of respect, he was continuing whatever the Guru was telling, just he was studying and he was continuing his studies. One day, they were sitting for lunch because since he was a favorite student, the teacher allowed him to sit with him. Now, teacher and student both sat for eating. Then, what was the afternoon lunch? It was a plain white rice with the just milk cream. That was the food. They started eating. The student suddenly, all of a sudden, he asked the mother, that is Guru's wife, Mother, why today food is bitter bit? Then she said, Alas, from 15 years, you were eating the same food. I mean, white rice with the milk cream, same thing I gave, and not a single day you said that. There is a food, I mean, whether it is a plain food, whether it is a bitter food, whether it is a sweet food or whatever. But today, all of a sudden, you started asking this. Then the teacher said, your education is over. Tomorrow, you can leave. The student felt very morose, probably because I made a comment that food is bitter. I mean, the teacher has got offended. Then he said, Sir, please excuse me, pardon me if I done a mistake. Henceforth, I will never make any comment on the food. The teacher said, No, your education is done. Tomorrow you can leave. But after finishing the food, again he went and he pleaded and he said, Sir, what happened? Please tell me my mistake. Let me rectify what I did. What I did. Why are you telling this to go away? All of a sudden, how did that my education got completed? Look, your student, I mean, your friends, whatever they studied, you studied them and you mastered them very early. But I was taking extra classes for you. I was trying to give extra information for you. And now you have acquired so much knowledge, so much informations, maybe 5 times more than your friends. But your mind was always obsessed with the knowledge obsessed with the acquisition of knowledge. That is the reason you never bothered about your sleep, you never bothered about your food, you never bothered about your clothes, you never bothered about anything. As a result, I was trying to give more and more whatever I knew. But now, for whatever the reason, your mind has come down. Now your mind has come down and you have started feeling about your food and your taste of food. That is the reason the education is enough. Now, whatever you have got acquired, it is more than enough. Then you go to the society and try to acquire money for your life, for your bread and butter. And at the same time, if possible, try to share this knowledge with the society or with some other students. Means that student for 13, 14 years, what he ate and what he wore his clothes, what is used, how he slept, he never bothered. His mind was completely soaked in one thing: knowledge acquiring, knowledge acquiring, knowledge acquiring. There's a funny story also. Newton, or I mean, Newton or Einstein, he sat under the apple tree and he was thinking, it seems. An apple fell on his head. Imagine if we are also sitting below the apple tree and apple falls on our head. What we do immediately? Sometimes some people get annoyed, they may scold. Of course, there is no one to scold. That apple fields, they take, it is a very fresh apple. It is so delicious. Immediately we start eating it, enjoying it. But whereas Newton or Einstein, he started thinking, why did apple fall? It could have stayed there, or it could have gone up, or it could have either and thither. Why did it fall? Then he threw the apple, again it fell down, it came down. Then he started thinking, why? As a result, he discovered, he invented gravitational force. Gravitational force was there earlier also. It was existing, but because his mind obsessed with that question why, as a result, he discovered, he invented the gravitational force. So even that particular student, he was obsessed with the acquiring knowledge. He never bothered about anything. As a result, he was one of the best student and acquired knowledge, skills, etc., etc. Similarly, in this devotee, a great devotee who has got that supreme devotion, he thinks about God always. He speaks about always God, his divine glories, and he thinks, he speaks, he meditates, and he desires to, or he wishes to listen about God and God alone. If such quality, such nature, if it is there existing in any person, know it for certain, then that person has attained parabhakti, that is the supreme devotion. So for few aphorisms, we saw how this Parabhakti or Prema Bhakti has been explained very clearly. And again, this is same thing we can see in the life of Sri Ramakrishna also. Sri Ramakrishna never spoke any worldly pursuits. He never spoke of neighbors. He never spoke of the world, etc., etc., unnecessarily. He was always trying to think about God and God alone. Once it so happened, the temple owner where he was staying, Mathurnath Vishwas by name, he was a rich landlord. He was a millionaire in those days. He took Sri Ramakrishna to Kashi. Kashi is one of the oldest city, ever existing city in this world. That has been proved. And it is very religious place. It is a great spiritual place for all Sanatana Dharmis or Hindus in India. And it is a lot of temples are there, and especially the temple dedicated to Lord Shiva is very famous, of course. So to have the vision, to have the darshan of Lord Shiva, even Sri Ramakrishna went with Mathurnath Vishwas. They had the Vishwanath darshan, they had a Ganges holy bath, and visited some other places, some other temples. And his mind was filled with divine consciousness of Shiva. And after that, while coming, Mathurnath Vishwas said, look, I have got some business affair, so please come. We will finish the work and again we'll go back to the place where we are staying. And Sri Ramakrishna also accompanied Mathurnath Vishwas. They went, and this Mathurnath Vishwas, his friends who are all business people, they came and they all started doing all business. How can we increase our wealth? How can we increase our business? How can we increase interest? So many things. There were business transactions and all the worldly talks. They were keep on talking for a long time. Whereas now Sri Ramakrishna started feeling, oh mother, why did I come here? I was probably happy in Dakshineshwar itself, where I was able to, I had a freedom to think whenever I want to. Now I came to such a sacred place, such a blessed place. I had a darshan of Lord Shiva, no doubt, but I have to hear all these worldly talks which I am unable to hear. So his mind was completely rejecting that I don't want to hear or I can't hear. And that was not a drama, it was a natural phenomenon, was Sri Ramakrishna. If you see from the spiritual aspirant point of view, if you see from the devotee point of view, he had attained that parabhakti, supreme devotion. He was thinking about Lord, he was thinking about God and God alone. He was enjoying the God, God's consciousness, divine consciousness, and nothing else. For daily half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, when we go and meet some sages or saintly people, or when we go to some religious places, we all think about God. When we all think about God or spirituality, about dharma, about transcendental things, all these things. But afterwards, no. After 1 or 2 hours, oh enough, we are getting bored. We shall think of something else, and immediately we start worldly affairs or worldly talks. That means what? Our mind absorbed in God is limited in a day to day life. It may be 10 minutes, it may be half an hour, it may be 1 hour, it may be 2 hours, it may be 3, 4 hours, or 5 hours. Afterwards, we cannot observe our mind in God consciousness or in the self consciousness or in the consciousness. Whereas the devotee who has attained the supreme devotion, their mind is always observed in the divine consciousness. Such a person, if you see anywhere, you can understand that he has attained that supreme devotion. A person who has attained the knowledge, who has attained the devotion, both look alike after their final attainment. That is what told by celestial sage Narada. After this, celestial sage Narada, in the next aphorism onwards, he starts explaining Gauni Bhakti. Gauni Bhakti is preparatory devotion. We have got all of us, we have got devotion. That's why we come here. But that is a preparatory form. So, what is that type of devotion and how it should be increased, and how this preparatory devotion, Gauni Bhakti, can be converted into Para Bhakti or Prema Bhakti, into supreme devotion, will be discussed in from the next aphorism. By the grace of Sri Ramakrishna, we shall try to discuss in the next class. Wish you all happy Navaratri and happy Mahasaptami. May Universal Mother bless all of us and fulfill our wishes and desires. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.